Billy Creekmore, Chapter 18. I daydream too much and learn about the UMW, rats, and a ghost. Oh, but I thought about the circus plenty while I was deep in the mine. There I'd be, driving Markle, and I'd see myself as one of the trick riders making his stallion race around lightning quick with its mane all ripply in the wind. Sometimes I saw Markle and me thundering across the plains all set to attack General Custer. I liked that part of the circus, even though Uncle Jim found fault with it. "Are you my stallion, Markle?" I'd say as I fed him lumps of sugar, which is what Clayton said I should do if I wanted him to work hard for me. "Do you want me to braid your mane with little bows and get you a spangled headdress?" Markle loved sandwiches and pie, but wasn't too keen on cold potato Aunt Agnes packed in the lower tray of my pan. Neither was I, to be honest, but you don't mind bland food when you're hungry. Plenty of miners got awfully angry at me because I was stuck in daydreams and not keeping up with them. I couldn't remember who was spending the morning undercutting and who was filling up a car. All I could think about was the trick riders and how one of them was blindfolded but managed to somersault from one galloping horse to another. Well, it was a grand thing to see, and awful thrilling since you didn't know how he could possibly know where the next horse was, and if he missed he'd break his neck and get trampled. How I wanted to be a daring horseman, riding around with an audience cheering me on, but the roof of the mine was too low for me to stand on Markle's back. And then, of course, I didn't have no time at all to waste learning any kind of trick down there. I'd show up at the wrong room at the wrong time, and the miner was getting ready to drill a bit of blasting powder into the face. "What are you doing here, Billy? You know I've been undercutting all morning. I won't have a car of coal for another 2 hours. Then down the corridor I'd hear a miner yelling my name. "Creekmore! Billy Creekmore, get over here! You're costing me money, boy!" A good miner shoveled 10 tons of coal a day, and he sure didn't want me standing in his way. Lots of the miner was angry men, just like Clayton said, and I overheard more and more of them talking about the United Mine Workers when I passed by on my route. Every now and then one of them would say something to me about the UMW needed young boys like me to stand with them. Fortunately, I remembered what Aunt Agnes said, and the words spilled out of me easy enough. "Boys like you should join the union," said one miner to me. "After all, you've got more to gain than an old man like me. You've got a lifetime in the mine ahead of you, and the union can help you." "Oh, but I already belong to the union at church," I said. "I go there every Sunday and every other weeknight for union with God and my fellow man." "Well, the union I'm talking about is different," he went on. "It's more about standing up for your rights and not letting Mr. Newgate run your life to make himself rich." "Oh, yes, I pray regular for Mr. Newgate and for all of us down here working in the dangers. Well, I best be off. Get up, Markle." I cracked my whip in the air and hurried away into the blackness. Day after day, deep in the mine, I felt some of the old loneliness that used to cling to me at the orphanage. I figured it was the darkness of the mine coupled with the solitude of my job. 3 times a day I pulled a load of coal from the farthest part of the mine way up to the weighing station, and I'd be alone in the dark for long stretches of time. The yellow light from my lamp cast weak shadows on the damp walls. As the clop of the mule echoed in the tunnels, I'd get to thinking about things, like the way Mr. Beetle beat Herbert Mullins so bad he stopped talking, or how fearful Meek Jones looked after he drowned. Plenty of folks believed the mines was haunted by all the miners that died there, and sometimes I felt something following me in Markle. It was awful unsettling. The hairs on my back of my neck stood up, and I'd turn around quick to look behind me. "Who's there?" My voice echoed down the dark passageways till it was swallowed up in black. Nothing answered back. "I bet you was feeling the ghost of little Golden Breen, love," said Clyde. He was a trapper like me, about 10 years old. A coal car run off its track and crushed him against the wall of the mine. Clyde was working the trap near the old part of the mine, sitting on a little bench eating lunch. I strapped a bag of oats to Markle and sat next to Clyde with my sandwich. "How long ago was that?" "Oh, I'd say it was 10 years ago, back when the mine first opened. He was the first boy killed in the mine. Folks say his spirit wanders about trying to find its way out into the light." I felt like something was following me, but it warn't a mean ghost. It was a sad ghost that wanted me to take it somewhere. "That would be Golden, I reckon. He was thinking you'd lead him out of that mine. Folks say his mother went crazy with grief. Morning, noon, and night she wandered about the mine entrance looking for him. Then one day she was found drowned in Paint Creek. She filled up her pockets with stones and walked into the water." A swarm of rats, 20 or more, and big as kittens, scurried under the trapper door, then under our bench. A fat one, bold as can be, came out to face us and stood up on its hind legs like a squirrel begging for food. This is my pal Jojo. He's so fat 'cause I feed him." Clyde tore off a piece of sandwich and threw it to him. "Ugh, how can you stand 'em?" I moaned. "I hate their bald tails and fat bellies." "Don't you know the rats are a miner's best friend? They'll let you know if a roof's about to collapse or if the gases are collecting. Their ears are better than ours, and their whiskers feel the tiniest vibration. They sense rock grinding and hear timber splintering long before we do." "Oh, I hate 'em," I said. "They swarm about Markle's stall, eating his feed and nesting in his straw." "That may be," said Clyde, "but if you ever see a pack of 'em running somewhere, you better drop what you're doing and run with 'em. Besides that, they keep me company. It gets so lonely here hour after hour. I've turned 'em into my pets, especially Jojo." I could hardly bear watching 'em squirm over each other, fighting for food. They was bothering me too much to eat peacefully, so Clyde said to go ahead and crack my whip to scare 'em off. Clyde warn't bothered none. He said Jojo and his friends would be back.